What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man? It's your boy Jay Howard, aka the official Georgia boy. You're now tuned in to another episode of Fan of Atlanta 365. Hey, if you're new here, man, don't forget to hit that sub button, like, share, comment if you got something to say, because you know your boy always coming back, man. Don't forget, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat, and throw in your pet turtle if you have one, man. But today, I don't really want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons today. I don't want to talk about, nothing dealing with the Atlanta Falcons. I actually want to discuss, the Las Vegas Raiders controversy, with Jon Gruden. So, hey, man, I want to have a conversation, but it's a sad video in my opinion, because we have to address this still in 2021. Even though we have had this whole summer, including last season where we had to talk about racial issues, and we still have to deal with this. So, hey, if you're in the building right now, man, hey, let us know, shout yourself out. Definitely interact with the show, man, because I really want to have a conversation with y'all regarding this Las Vegas Raiders, controversy. So I'm gonna give you a little time to, get yourself together. We got Radiant Media in due time podcast. My boy Anthony Ray, man, he in the building. He said, "What's good, homie? Hey, what's good, man? Hey, today we're gonna talk about that Las Vegas Raiders, controversy, man. So I hope you enjoy this show, man. I don't really want y'all to enjoy the show. I just want y'all to get my thoughts on it, and also hopefully we can hear from y'all as well. I know it's a touchy subject to cover anytime you're talking about any kind of social issues. But at the same time, this is what this channel is built on, man. It's not just sports I want to talk about. It's other things I want to talk about as well. So I hope that y'all, able to join in on the conversation. Let's see if we have anybody from Facebook. We ain't got nobody from Facebook. Hey, man, shout yourself out. Let me know you're in the building. He said we gotta get this out. Yeah, we definitely got to get this out, man. If you want to come on, let me know. Let me know. You can definitely join the conversation with me. We can have this talk. Hearing two people talk about this thing, hey, it's always good. So if you want to join the live show, give your thoughts on it. Maybe you don't agree with something I'm saying and you want to talk about it. Hey, it's an open platform today. I'm just winging it. So hey, please join. If let me know if you want to join live. I'll send you the link. Put your email in the comment box or something like that, and I'll send you the link and we can have that conversation. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get right into it, man. The first thing I want to talk about, as you all know, unless you've been living under a rock, Jon Gruden has resigned as the Las Vegas Raiders head coach on October 11th, 2021. And he has been replaced by Rich Bisaccia. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but let me see I think I have a picture of Bisaccia. Let me see. I know I downloaded a picture, so let me find that picture for y'all. Here he is. Yeah, so he's now the interim head coach. Rich Bisaccia. Don't know how to pronounce his name, but here's your interim head coach. I also have a problem with this, with this election, because this guy has been the best friend of Jon Gruden for like 20 years. Every time Jon Gruden has been the head coach, Bisaccia has followed him. So, I kind of have an issue with this, but at the same time, it is what it is. He didn't get in trouble. It was Jon Gruden that got in trouble. So that's what we're gonna focus on today, the Jon Gruden controversy. So, like I stated before, Jon Gruden, resigned on Monday, October 11th, 2021. Friday last week, he some emails, I guess, came to the NFL's front office about Jon Gruden, and some racial comments that he said about DeMaurice Smith. If you don't know who DeMaurice Smith is the NFLPA exec. He's the spokesperson for the Players Union. He's the guy that goes out there and make the deals. He represents the players. So this is DeMaurice Smith. Well, some of the emails read that Jon Gruden said that he called DeMaurice Smith Dumb Morris. He started off the email by saying Dumb Morris Smith has the lips of the size of a Michelin tire. Now, if we all know it, we all know that when anytime you make a comment about a black person's lips, we all know what it represents. For years, our lips have been, you know, criticized about the size of them. When you look at old pictures or old political cartoons, or just different stuff throughout our history has always compared. You always seen the black people with big black or dark lips. And that's a racial stereotype. And his way of defending that racial slur or racial comment was to say, well, I always call people who lie or who has running lips, like pretty much they talk a lot about stuff that they don't know. That's what he always referred them to, as having Michelin tire lips, size of Michelin tire lips, which don't really make sense to me. I'm a grown man, Jon Gruden. You can't get over without, man. That's a poor excuse of why you said that in the email. As a man, your job is to understand that, hey, when I'm sending these emails, I have to really think about what I'm saying. For me, I mean, if you're gonna say he's a liar or if you're gonna say he talks a lot, just say that. You don't have to. You don't have to say he has the lips of the size of Michelin tires, because we all know Michelin tires are pretty much big. And if you've seen them on lips, hold on, my son, he's like stepping over everything. Go to mama. And he just came in here trying to ruin everything. But anyway, yeah. So when you try to describe a black man's or a black person's lips as something that's big, it's gonna always come off as racial, because of the history of this country. So that was the first email that hit, and the reason why I want to highlight that email is because it was the first email that hit. He never lost his job. He never thought that he needed to resign. So obviously he thought that it was going to pass. It was going to pass by. Nobody's really was going to take it as he gave his little somewhat reason of why he said it. And I think people kind of like was just like, okay, it is. That's what he said. He apologized, and people were really willing to forgive him and just move on. Well, I don't think that was the right thing, but at the end of the day, okay, that's what happened. And then on Monday, the big bombshell hits. New York Times comes out with some more emails that included some anti-gay language and also some misogynistic comments. So that's when Jon Gruden decides that he's going to resign, because in his statement, he stated that he didn't want to hurt anyone. So pretty much the damage has already been done, in my opinion. At this time, the damage has already been done. You already hurt who you was going to hurt. Just because you so-called didn't intend to hurt anyone, you call yourself thinking that you never thought that these emails was ever going to make it, it was ever going to affect you today. It's 2021. These emails were sent within a 7-year span of 2011 all the way to 2018. So Jon Gruden probably never thought that these emails was ever see the light of day, and just so happened they did. So of course he's forced to resign, which I feel like you had no choice. It was either you get fired, but also we got to look at the Las Vegas Raiders. What's his name? Mark Davis. Mark Davis wasn't going to fire him, because if he fires him, then pretty much he's going to owe this man the rest of that contract. Whereas if Jon Gruden resigns, then he don't owe this man the $60 million contract, $60 million that he have left on his 10-year contract. So of course it was pretty much the only thing that you can do. And also you can't really defend all the other rhetoric that was spewed in all these other emails. I guess they thought that if it was just that one email, then okay, we can get past that. But because it was so many other emails that hit on Monday, we had no choice. So at the end of the day, I really can't give Mark Davis any kind of props for what he did, because he was pretty much put into a corner where he had to make a decision. And of course, he's not going, he's not gonna take Jon Gruden's side, because he already know he'll get so much more criticism. So when it's time for him to address the media, his comments is, what did Mark Davis say? Mark Davis said, I have no comment. Ask the NFL. They have all the answers. That was his response to, when they was talking about, what's your thoughts on the Jon Gruden situation and all that good. So pretty much it shows me that he's trying to protect the Jon Gruden. Jon Gruden was like his man. That was the guy he really wanted when Al Davis was alive. The great Al Davis, his father, the former owner of the Las Vegas Raiders before his death. Then his son eventually took over. Al Davis hired Jack Del Rio, and according to according to Shannon Sharp, they were saying that Jon Gruden was, Mark Davis was already in contact with Jon Gruden, trying to get Jon Gruden to become the head coach. But at that time, Jon Gruden was working for ESPN. So it was so much, so many times when Mark Davis was really trying to get Jon Gruden in the building, and he finally got a chance. And you saw what happened. He gave this man a 10-year deal worth $100 million. And this man haven't coached since the early 2000s. And even still, when you look at his career, he really had the Buccaneers, who he actually adopted from Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy built that team, and he was able to take it to a Super Bowl against his former team, the Oakland Raiders at the time. And he knew all the play calls and all that good stuff. Not saying that the Buccaneers did not have a great team. They had a great team. But at the end of the day, if it was another team, would they have won that Super Bowl if Jon Gruden didn't know the plays? Also, if you go back to the 2000, I want to say the 2002, 2001, 2002 Raiders, probably was his best season. They could have won the Super Bowl, but they got, the Tuck rule. We all know about the Tuck rule, which launched the New England Patriots dynasty. But at the end of the day, Jon Gruden, other than those 2 years, he really didn't, do anything. He really wasn't known for any other thing other than him being known, compared to the Chucky doll. So Jon Gruden, after his coaching stint, he goes and he's like a big name in ESPN. He's a big personality, and he made a name for himself on the media side of it. But he comes back to coaching, and his first contract is a 10-year deal worth $100 million. So it just goes to show you, Mark Davis is like, Jon Gruden is like Mark Davis's guy. Even though there were so many coaches that probably deserved a head coaching spot that don't get it, especially minorities. We all know the history of minorities, getting head coaching positions, GM positions. That you don't have no one owner that's an African American. So at the end of the day, it looks like it's just that good old boy club. Once again, they strike again. So let's move on to what happened. So after that bombshell hit, as I said it before, it included some homophobic language, which Jon Gruden sent emails back and forth between. You had, who was that? You had Paul Allen. Paul Allen was the at the time when these emails was going back and forth. Bruce Allen. I'm sorry, Bruce Allen was the during the 2010-2013 seasons. He was the executive VP / GM of the Oakland Raiders at the time. 2014 to 2016, he was the president and GM of the Oakland Raiders at that time. And then 2017 to 2019, he was the president of, I'm sorry, not the Oakland Raiders. This is the Washington Redskins at that time, the Washington Redskins, who are now known as the Washington football team. But he was the executive VP, GM, president, GM, and president of the Washington Redskins of that time, during the time when these emails was going back and forth. Also, you had Ed Drosty, co-founder of Hooters. You had Jim McVay, executive who ran the Outback Bowl, which is the college playoff bowl, one of the college big bowls that they had. And then you had Nick Reeder, who is the founder of the PDQ restaurant. I don't know what that is, but at the same time, he must be a big name. It must be a big restaurant because he's a part of this email thread. And you got all these guys, sending emails back and forth. And there is racial comments, it's gay slurs, also it's misogynistic comments, and also pictures. They had pictures with women in their bikinis. You had some of the former Washington Redskins of the time, now known as the Washington football team. You had their cheerleaders with naked pictures, and pictures with them in their bikinis. And we all remember the story when Dan Snyder was they were investigating the Washington football team organization for prostituting their cheerleaders. So you got a lot of this going on between 2011 and 2018. So the anti-gay language that was being spoken was, Jeff Fisher being forced to one moment, let me see. Okay. Jeff Fisher was according to Jon Gruden, he believed that Jeff Fisher was pressured by Roger Goodell, who is the commissioner of the NFL. He was forced by Roger Goodell to draft Michael Sam. Now, if you guys remember who Michael Sam is, Michael Sam was, out of Missouri University. He was the defensive player of the SEC. And he was pretty good in college and really didn't have many skills that could translate into the NFL at the time that they thought. And, so he was pretty much a player that really wasn't supposed to get drafted, according to Jon Gruden, but he believed that he was only drafted due to the pressure of having to I guess, give in to or not give in, let's say, represent the gay community, the LGBTQ community. So, it was a way to get this player in here. And Jon Gruden believed that, Jeff Fisher was pressured by Roger Goodell to do so, which in return, now you have your first openly gay player to get drafted in the NFL. And due to the Carl Nassib, who is the first openly gay NFL player in the NFL to come out this season, he's actually, offended by this. This is offending Carl Nassib, who's a first openly gay player in the NFL. Also, these emails included Eric Reed, who we all know was one of the protesters during the NFL, who was kneeling along with Colin Kaepernick. He was kneeling for social injustice reasons, and Jon Gruden thought that he should be fired. So as we can see, Jon Gruden has a lot of racial ideas. He has a lot of misogynistic. Like, he don't believe women should be refereeing. He don't believe women should be a part of the NFL, but he also enjoys exploitation of women. So he's already kind of one of those, men that don't really value women except for in a sexual role. And then we can see that he don't care for, gay people. So we got three things against this man, and there's probably more emails, because I'm pretty sure over a 7-year stint, there's more emails, and we still have to get the story on all the other people that was a part of these email threads. Because if these email threads going on for 7 years, you cannot tell me these guys don't have no emails that they sent back, because at the end of the day, if you're emailing somebody for 7 years with this email thread, most likely you're a bigot, you're racist, you're misogynistic, and you're anti-gay. So at the end of the day, we need to talk about that, but we'll wait until that stuff uncovers. But getting back to Jon Gruden, of course, like I said, he resigned. So let's talk about the Raiders organization, because before Mark Davis, there was Al Davis, who was the founder of the Oakland Raiders. At the time, it was the Oakland Raiders. And you know, he built this organization based on progressive ideas. So let's look at the track record of Al Davis, the great late Al Davis. You know, everybody probably knows him as the "just win, baby" quote. You know, committed to win. You know, so that was his thing. He was the founder of the Raiders. He loved the Raiders. The Raiders was his. He was almost like a Jerry Jones of the Cowboys. He was the Jerry Jones of the Oakland Raiders. So let's look at his track record. When you look at his track record, you had he hired the first black head coach, Art Shell. Art Shell was the first black coach of the modern times. The modern times. So we're talking about, 1989. Well, it was kind of unheard of a black head coach. So he hired the first black head coach, Art Shell. Then he hired one of the first Hispanic head coaches, known as Tom Flores. Now, mind you, Art Shell is a Hall of Famer. Tom Flores is a Hall of Famer. This guy won 2 Super Bowls with the Oakland Raiders as the head coach. Also, you look at Al Davis's track record. He hired one of the first women during that time in the 80s. We talking about the 80s. He hired the first woman as a higher up CEO. She was an executive. She held an executive role as his right hand woman. I want to say right hand man, but right hand woman as in his organization. So Al Davis had progressive thoughts. He could have been definitely been an owner this time, because this is the time where we feel like we look at all the owners to have a progressive, mindset. But during the 80s, he had this progressive mindset. So also he brought in HBCU players to play for his team. At that time, it was unheard of. I mean, you did have HBCU players like Warren Moon, what's his name, Walter Payton. You had people you had players, great players that came out of HBCUs. But during the 80s, 90s, all that good stuff, that's when you really kind of seen the transition from black players coming from HBCUs, so now they're coming from big universities. And also, you still have that stigma where black players can only play certain positions. Now, it was a little bit more better during that time, but it still had the old ways of black players really wasn't playing quarterback. They definitely wasn't being head coaches. They weren't playing offensive linemen like center and stuff like that. You really didn't have many of those, but there were some. But at the time, that mindset was still there. So for Mark Davis, the owner and founder of the Oakland Raiders, to be able to have this progressive mindset during that time speaks volumes. So we see what this organization was based off of, and Jon Gruden don't align with those values that this organization have always had. Mark Davis obviously doesn't. He's not the same as his father. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. Well, it actually fell far from the tree, because Mark Davis is pretty much the opposite of Al Davis. He's bringing in this guy that's. I mean, you gotta know somebody. If you've been knowing somebody for 20 plus years, I'm pretty sure you know if they're racist or if they're misogynistic or if they're anti-gay. I don't know anybody that I have been knowing for 20 some years, 30 some years, however long, and I don't know something about them that maybe the public don't know. I'm pretty sure we would know. So if you're around somebody for that long, you could be around somebody for a lengthy amount of time, not even for 20 years. You could be around somebody for a year, and eventually their true colors have to show. So there's no doubt in my mind Mark Davis knew the type of guy Jon Gruden was, especially if he's your head coach. You know something about this man. You probably spent numerous of hours around this man, with having conversations personally. I'm pretty sure there's an email thread. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an email thread with him. I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm definitely not. I'm pretty sure that you guys have had some conversations offline. There's no doubt in my mind that we probably would never know about that. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure you have had some informal conversations offline. So at the end of the day, Jon Gruden, Um, did it surprise me? No, because the reason why is because Jon Gruden. Now I don't know. I didn't know if he was a racist. I didn't know if he was misogynistic, anti-gay. I didn't know this stuff. But does it surprise me to find out this stuff? No. As a black male in America, it doesn't surprise me when I found out a white person, especially a white male, is racist. It just doesn't surprise me because one thing I learned about when you're dealing with a racist or misogynistic or anti-gay person, eventually if you get them mad enough, you get them drunk enough, or you make them comfortable enough to think that they can say what's really in their mind, you'll find out a lot about a person. Only thing you have to do is really make a racist person mad. You make them mad, you'll really find out how they really feel about you. So at the end of the day, it doesn't surprise me that Jon Gruden is a racist, that he's misogynistic, that he's anti-gay or homophobic, because I'm pretty sure it's a lot of them out there. We just haven't found out yet. We just haven't seen the emails yet. So I'm pretty sure it's a lot of these owners, a lot of these GMs, head coaches, players. I'm pretty sure there's some of them scrubbing some emails, trying to delete a lot of stuff because they know if they ever get caught, we're in a counseling culture. And unfortunately, but fortunately, that's where we at. So at the end of the day, I'm happy that Jon Gruden was exposed, because at the end of the day, you're leading men, black men, white men, minorities. You're leading women, or you're representing. You're supposed to be representing a organization, a company that is progressive. That's what we're trying to get to, having a progressive league. And we cannot have we have to weed and seed out the ones that don't align with that vision, with that mission. So I'm happy that he was exposed. But let's get to the main thing that I really want to discuss, because I was listening to some of the press conferences with the players, coaches, and also the GM Mike Mayock. Talk about give their thoughts, and how how this impacted them, being a part of that organization. So the first interview I heard was what's his name, Rich Biscacci. Pretty much he just kind of like, he's friends with Jon Gruden, so you could just tell he was very uncomfortable with having to address this situation. But at the same time, he kind of like talked about how, no man, no person is bigger than the shield. He said all the right things, but at the same time, I felt like it wasn't genuine. He even talked about how he wrote this statement and how he was helped by a lot of people, which is common. If you're going to be in these positions, you want to make sure that you're PC correct. But I felt like he was more of an organization type guy. He really didn't tell how he really feels. We don't know if he's, supporting John, if he's like, you know, a supporter of John Gruden. But at the same time, when you're in the public, you have to kind of like, make it seem like, well, I don't have nothing to do with Jon Gruden. I didn't know he was like that. He's still a friend of mine, but like he has to defend the organization. So he's more of a, I'm gonna play it the safe way. But then when I go to Derek Carr press conference, he was talking about how, this affected Carr Nassib. And yes, the gay community should be at an outrage about what was said in these emails, because it's not right. I'm not defending Jon Gruden because he was wrong. He's wrong, 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 wrong. And I definitely feel like he should have lost his job. And I definitely feel like, he needs to learn. He needs to have some sensitivity classes. He needs to go through the whole the process of trying to, to see how wrong he, to expose how wrong he was. If he don't know already, I'm pretty sure he knows, because he got caught. He feels bad, but at the same time, that doesn't get rid of how you really feel, because we all know how you really feel now. So now you have to live with that. But at the same time, Derek Carr talked about, how this affected Carr Nassib, but it made me question these players and these coaches and the GM. It's like they were so focused on the anti-gay slurs and comments that was made in these emails, that we never really addressed the racial thing. Like it's like the racial thing is like, okay, yeah, it happened, but really wasn't a big deal. But the gay comments, that's a big deal. And I feel like we kind of made it where it's more about, you know, Carl Nassib and you know his movement to trying to, you know, be the spokesperson for the gay community from the NFL perspective. But we never really talked about the DeMaurice Smith comments. I felt like they all are equally wrong. You know, whether it was racial, whether it was homophobic, or whether it was misogynistic, they're all wrong on an even level. So why are we so fast to cater to Carl Nassib? Then, you know, 70% of the NFL is made up of black people, minorities. You know, so why aren't we focusing on their well-being? Why aren't we talking about how this impacted them? You know, we're focused on Carl Nassib. Now, Carl Nassib does deserve the attention, of course. We all know Carl Nassib, he's the first openly gay player in the NFL. And, you know, he wants to raise awareness on gay issues. But at the same time, he wasn't the only person that was affected by this email. Women were affected by this email. Black people and minorities were affected by this email. The commissioner was affected by this email. Joe Biden was affected by this email. Jeff Fisher. It was a lot of other people that was affected by this email, but we're focusing on Carl Nassib. They gave Carl Nassib the day off. Carl Nassib took the day off because he was saying, you know, this impacted him, and you know, he needed a self-care day. Radiant Media, Anthony Ray said Gruden made someone mad. He's one of many that share his same thoughts. Someone of his own race exposed him. Yes, he definitely was exposed. He was definitely exposed. And he was only exposed because Bruce Allen took on a new role, which he was in his. They did a background check on, like, you know, criminalization probing, pretty much, where they check emails, phone, you know, text messages. They really go in depth about certain things to make sure that you know, you're not a person that's doing any kind of criminal or discriminatory, you know, actions. They want to make sure that they do a thorough background check, and that's the only way Jon Gruden got exposed. And all the other people are eventually getting exposed as well. But Jon Gruden was the scapegoat for these emails, because not the scapegoat. He was the main guy because he actually holds a position in the NFL as a head coach. Bruce Allen, he no longer works with the NFL. Those guys, Ed Drostel, you know, the founder of Hooters. I mean, you pretty much have to be misogynistic to work for Hooters, because they're exploiting women all day. You know, they're legally exploiting women. Jim McVay runs the Outback Bowl. We already know the NCAA pretty much, you know, they don't really care about black players that much anyway. We already know that. It's no secret. Nick Reeder, the founder of PDQ restaurant. I don't even know what that restaurant is. But for him to be a part of these emails, obviously he's a racist. He's a misogynistic person, and also he's a homophobe. So at the end of the day, all these guys have the same thing in common. It's just that Jon Gruden was the guy who got caught first. He's the guy who got the spotlight on him. You're leading men, black men, minorities, probably women in that organization. You're licking these people in the face, telling them to play for you, and you feel the way you feel. You got Carl Nassib in your locker room, and you're talking about how gay people, you know, you're using gay slurs and all that good stuff, but then you telling him, you probably went to him talking about how proud you was that he came out about his sexuality. So at the end of the day, when you have people like racist people, misogynistic people, and homophobic people, they're always gonna try to, like, in your face. They want to make it seem like, because at this time right now, we're at a point of time where you have to kind of, like, you know, be sensitive to the social issues. You have to support Black Lives Matter or social. Well, you don't have to support it, but you know, it's the cool thing. It's the cool thing to do right now to say Black Lives Matter, but not really put any action behind that. You know, you have to say, "Oh, I'm for women progress." You know, progression. Like I'm for that. I'm a feminist. You have to say that because it's the correct thing to say. You have to be for the LGBTQ community because it's the thing that could crucify you if you're not. So at the end of the day, in people's face, you have to represent those things, but behind closed doors, you can have those Donald Sterlings. You know, those guys who really don't like the players that he have to bring in, but they bring him money and they bring him entertainment and they put butts in the seats. But he really don't like black players. You know, I don't like black players playing for me, but I have to have them because they good. So it's another way to it's another way, pretty much a slavery, in my opinion. That's really what it is. I don't like y'all, but y'all definitely put money in my pockets. Y'all make me look good, so I have to somewhat act like I care about you or take care of you. But at the end of the day, I'm only exploiting you to make money, but I really genuinely don't like you. That's really what we have. Jon Gruden got in front of all these players, these organizations, and made it seem like, oh yeah, I love, you know, love gay people. Carl Nassib, he's my guy. You know, Darren Waller, all these black players that play for his team, you know, he probably in their face talking about how much he loved them and how much he's happy that they're there. But in reality, he don't like you because you're black. He don't like you because you're gay. He don't like you because you're a woman. So at the end of the day, the moral of the story is for this video, can we just treat all the cases, all the controversy equally? The racial slurs, the misogynistic comments, and the anti-gay language are all equal. They're all wrong. Let's not make one more, you know, higher than the other because it seems like that's what we get into. Carl Nassib has been the poster child. He's the one that everybody feels sorry for. But what about the black people that was affected? What about the women that was affected? DeMaurice Smith. Nobody talks about how this affected DeMaurice Smith. Nobody's talking about, you know, all the women that have been affected by this. The only person we're focusing on is Carl Nassib. So that's the moral of the story. The moral of this video was to talk about the controversy of the Las Vegas Raiders. Hopefully, how do they bounce back from this? It's going to be tough because these players, they are affected by it. They're impacted by it. Of course, they're going to say the right things because they don't want, you know, they don't want to put too much spotlight on themselves. They want to protect their brand. They want to, you know, they want job security. They don't want to be done like Colin Kaepernick. So of course, they got to say the right stuff. They got to represent the organization. But at the same time, we have to call out this wrongness. If we want to progress and all this stuff that we're talking about, you know, the Black Lives Matter, you know, the stop the hate, we got all these slogans, but we have to also talk about the impact, the traumatic impact that these players are experiencing. These people who are affected by these comments of these bigot people. Racism does exist. And in today's time, we're starting to bring awareness to that. And when we see something that's wrong, say something. Don't just sit there and be like, you know, well, it don't really affect me because you're afraid to talk about this stuff. And that's another thing. I feel like society has trained us to believe that we can't speak out on stuff because I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to lose my job, or I don't want people to see me this way. At the end of the day, if it's wrong, we got to call it wrong. If it's right, we support it. If it's wrong, you call it out. Jon Gruden was wrong. Bruce Allen, wrong. Ed Drostel, Jim McVeigh, Nick Reeder, and whoever else was a part of this, whoever else haven't been exposed yet, you're wrong. so pretty much that's all I have for you guys, man. I just wanted to talk about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this content. I didn't enjoy talking about it because it's wrong. I don't like having to talk about stuff like this, but unfortunately we're in 2021 and we still have to deal with this stuff. So Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, you know, but Black Lives Matter. To the LGBTQ community, you know, y'all get on this, man, because you guys were affected by these, you know, horrific comments, and I know that you guys have your movement going, and I'm here to support you guys. The Black Lives Matter, the civil rights for Black people and minorities. Y'all already know how I feel about us. I love us, so at the end of the day, I always got our back. And women, I'm a feminist, so I represent women as well. So hey, we gotta get right, and the way we get right is by doing what has to experience. We have to call it out. We have to call a spade, and we have to expose all these people that are contradictions, walking contradictions. We got in order to build a progressive, in order to get to the ultimate goal, we're gonna have to weed and seed out all these racist, homophobic, misogynistic, and whatever else. We gotta weed and seed these people out, because if you don't, then you're gonna always have these issues. So shout out to the NFL. Somewhat shout out to the Las Vegas Raiders organization. Hopefully Jon Gruden learns from this and moves on. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, he should not be able to work for the NFL ever again. Sorry, not sorry. Las Vegas Raiders. Hire a coach that's actually going to, you know, represent what the organization is about. Stop with this good old boy. Or Eric Bieniemy should have a job, but he's still with the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe he can turn this organization around. Just a thought. You know, think about that. Maybe, you know, it is what it is, man. But hey, thank you for joining Fan of Atlanta 365, man. Don't forget to support the channel by subscribing. You know, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat. Also, catch J&B, the Talk of the Dirty South show, every Saturday, man. We talking about these Falcons. I know the Falcons will be on a bye week, but we still gonna have a video this Saturday. So join us live, man. Shout out to my boy BB Bush, man, the great. But it's been your boy Jay Howard, aka the official Georgia boy, man. And I am out of here.